Mickey Loomis doesn't need the fans to keep yelling and ranting about firing Dennis Allen. Dennis Allen did a pretty good job of making his own case for that in that press conference Monday afternoon. We're going to take a look at that. And Mickey, I'm not forgetting about you. You're still in my crosshairs too. I'm Tim. Let's talk Saints. We're going to start with his opening remarks for a few minutes. I'll stop a couple times because I do have some things to say in this. We're not covering the whole thing, but there's a couple key questions that followed that we'll address what he was talking about in those instances.
All right, guys. You go back and you look at the game, and sometimes it's hard to see the forest through the trees, but there were some good things that were done in the game. I thought we improved in terms of our run defense overall. The quarterback had the 138-yard scramble that we can't allow to get out of there, but when they handed the ball to the runner, they basically averaged about 3 yards per carry. So I thought the run defense was better. I thought our defensive line overall played better in the game. I think Pete Werner helps our defense out a lot just in terms of, alignment assignment, things of that nature.
So much to unpack right there. Okay, first of all, except for the non-running quarterback who had 34 total yards on 20 attempts coming into this game, scrambling for 38 yards, we did a pretty good job of run defense. Yeah. We basically let the non-mobile guy crush us on a scramble. But hey, we tackled running backs. Well, did we? Remember a few plays, and one in particular, we mentioned this one Sunday night in the post game. Yet 3 guys couldn't tackle Dobbins for a 4-yard loss that he turns into a plus 10-yard gain for first down. Look, I won't argue the defensive line has played better on Sunday, but that was simply because they had been so god-awful for the previous easily 3, 4, possibly 5 games. They had nowhere to go but up. But I wouldn't qualify any of that as, hey, we did some good things. No, you finally didn't suck at him is what happened Sunday, but it still wasn't enough. And it damn sure ain't enough for you to come out here and just say, look, we're still bad. Be honest. We're not as bad as we were. I would have accepted that, but we're still bad. But don't you dare sit there and call it a good thing. And then you kind of throw in Pete Werner in there. Well, he's back, so it helps with our alignment. So we were misaligning the games he missed because, A, we couldn't get our alignment straight coming out the huddle, which I realize sometimes through checks and audibles and stuff that you do, yeah, you can be a little whack out of alignment somewhere, and somebody running the show has got to straighten it out. I'm pretty sure DeMario Davis could handle that and was probably handling that, doing that. I don't know where that Pete Werner comment came from. It just made absolutely zero sense to me that he's thrown that out there like this is a good thing. Yeah, it's a good thing that he can do that. It's a bad thing that apparently when he wasn't there, we couldn't do any of that because that's what I'm reading into that, especially based on your previous comment of, well, he got better. We did some good things. It was a good thing. That still wasn't a good thing. It just, again, wasn't as sucky as it was before. So you're telling me Pete Werner coming in just made it a little less sucky, almost average? Come on, man. What are we doing here? What are we talking about? Why are you still up there as our head coach?
The things that, we have to improve on is we got to eliminate, the explosive plays.
No shit, Sherlock. That's been going on since the Philly game. This has been going on since the Philly game. You have kept talking about it post-game since the Philly game. That was week 3. We just finished week 8. Do the math. How many times you keep saying the same thing and it keeps happening on the field? On your watch, you're the defensive guy. I don't even need you to say it anymore. If we're watching the game and have half a brain and a quarter of a pulse, we already know we give up big plays by the bushel. And every team knows we are a get right team right now. You want to get right, especially on offense, and you see the Saints coming up on your schedule. Hey, we're all Lad McConkey. You're in for a huge day. We're going to throw the ball to you. It's the Saints. They give up explosive plays. You're going to have a good game, rookie. And boy, did he.
Those have been something that's hurt us throughout the season. So we've got to do a better job of eliminating those things. We got to make some plays when we have some opportunities to make some plays. There's a couple of sack opportunities that I think, we had one potentially get a safety there towards the end of the game. Another one where we let the quarterback get out. I thought there was a couple times where we had opportunities to get the ball out of the quarterback's hand.
Again, week in, week out, the same shit keeps happening. You don't have to get up there and tell us about it. There's two things we know. Before the game, we know it's going to happen because it keeps happening and you haven't done anything to fix it. And after the game, we know you're going to go up there and go, well, we missed all these sacks and these chances to get the quarterback on the ground and make these big plays. Again, no shit, Sherlock.
In the pocket, which could have been big plays in the game. And then, obviously the dropped interception there by Pete down on the goal line. I mean, those are just a handful of plays that,
Handful of plays after you get your ass kicked by 3 scores for the third week in a row. Would those handful of plays change the course of the game? Maybe, but I freaking doubt it. It just would have made it look closer, tighter game, a little better score-wise, and in your mind, probably would have convinced more and more people I'm not as incompetent as I'm proving to be. To everybody except the even more incompetents that are running this organization who have not fired me yet.
We've got to be able to make those plays when we get those opportunities offensively. We actually did some good things. I thought we ran the ball better in the game. I think we averaged 5.5 yards a carry or something like that running the football. So I thought that was better in the game. We had 15 10 plus yard plays.
Okay, got back to our rushing average up to 5 yards. A lot of, I didn't go back and count them, but he's saying 15 plus 10 plays. I'm thinking that's a lot, but here's the thing. None of it means shit. You only scored 6 points. So again, I'm not calling him a liar. Maybe it was 15. To me, it seemed like we probably had 5 or 6. So if we even doubled or tripled what my expectations were, that we actually did 10 plus plays, and we only scored 6 points. Now, let's see if he tells us the reason why that happened.
In the game, which is the most that we've had in any game this season. So there were some good things. The issue that we've got to get corrected.
Let me guess. Penalties?
Is we've got to be more consistent. We do some good things, and then like offensively, we'll move the ball, and then as we get to that midfield area, we'll have some penalties and things that are going to knock us out and knock us into longer yardage situations, and we're not able to overcome those right now.
Yes, that has been going on for weeks, Dennis. Weeks and weeks and weeks. Most of them pre-snap, stupid penalties, right? Now, I know for a fact, before I even watched this, when you said there was only one this time, and it really wasn't on Fuaga who they called it on. It was on the center who didn't snap the ball after everybody else had moved on when the ball was supposed to have been snapped. But yeah, you narrowed it down to one, but it's been going on forever. And finally getting around to addressing, hey, we're doing some stupid shit that's killing our own drives.
Now, so the consistency in our play, the details in our play, I think those are the areas that we've got to continue to work to improve on.
So, yeah, we got to be more consistent. Penalties. And he's going to go a little deeper in penalties as we go through this, but you've been watching me for weeks. I've been bitching and moaning about the same stuff that he's talking about that cost us on Sunday. Dennis, it's been costing you every week. Even the games you like Sunday, you really didn't have a shot at winning. Well, you might have. You'd have been able, as I said earlier, facetiously trying to make yourself not look as incompetent. But all due respect, if you would have taken care of all that stuff that you're supposed to be taking care of, that you're talking about right now, that you are the head coach, that ultimately all this falls on your shoulders because you are the head coach, you could be sitting up here and telling the truth. Truth is, we know it's wrong, but we can't fix it. All I can do is keep coming up here and telling you, we know it's wrong, but we can't stop it from occurring over and over and over again. It falls on your shoulders, buddy. In message to Mickey Loomis and Dennis Laucha and Miss Gale, it all falls on his shoulders. One way or another, he's the head coach. But the buck stops with him when it comes to what he's talking about. It's all stuff that is starts with preparation and ends on game day. And we've got so many problems all the way along that line. It's not even funny. You can't even make jokes about it. It's just so atrociously bad. And they're going to ask some. We're getting to the Q&A parts and pretty much limited about 4 questions, I think. Just kind of along these lines. I cut out the stuff about injuries and his car coming back and all that other stuff. And I think there was one on Groupie that we didn't do and one on Kool-Aid. And this is the stuff that's killing us. This is the stuff that if I can only state it this way, if Dennis Allen were the coach in 2009, everything else being the same, that Super Bowl winning team would have been lucky to make it in the playoffs and wouldn't have survived the wild card round. I know you can't prove a negative, and I have no way to back this up other than been watching this clown for 2.5 years. Nothing has changed. It looked like it was changed at the beginning of the year. When things started going bad, here we are right back in the same spot we always are, right about week 8 or 9 of the season. 3rd year in a row. It's getting ridiculous. So we're going to get in the Q&A part. The very first question after he did his opening was about some comments Alvin made after the game. And this is where my migraine started really getting intense when I watched this for the first time.
So Alvin, after the game, into the details, it's like what you said. I mean, who's that on? Is that on the players, coaches?
Well, I think it's a combination. I think us as coaches, we got to be more detail oriented in terms of what we're teaching, how we're wanting guys to do things.
It's week 8, Dennis. Shouldn't have that been kind of like, I don't know, ironed out, done in training camp, and continued throughout the season? And we're going to get to a question later on that also goes back to something in training camp. But this is, even before training camp, OTAs, this was being discussed constantly, talking about how the new guys coming in from Frisco, Kubiak and his guys, they've set a new standard and how hard they're working to get it done. And the players talked about, hey, we're getting out there and we're doing all this intense stuff in practice that's going to improve our technique, improve our discipline. They're making us do it right. If we don't do it right, they make us do it over. It's getting blah, 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 blah. And again, by the time we rolled out of training camp through preseason, you started cocking your head and going, look, I'm seeing some good things. You rolled out, you played 2 games. And for 2 games, you were the best team in the NFL, doing all the stuff you had talked about doing. And then it slowly started unraveling, and then faster and faster and faster. And he's answering this question like they're still trying to figure out how you make all that stuff happen. And I'm sitting here thinking, hey, you had a plan going all the way back to OTAs, how you were going to do this. You seem to have stuck to and did it all the way through the offseason, rolling into weeks 1 and 2, and it was kind of working. How all of a sudden is it not working? Or y'all not doing it anymore? Have y'all? What the hell is going on?
holding guys accountable to doing those things, the little things, the right way. And then it's incumbent upon the players to focus in on those details and be able to execute those details. So I think it's a combination of things, yeah.
So he didn't say that's the stuff we've been doing all along for the last 6 months. And the players just aren't doing it, and we can't make them. Because it's one or the other. Either you're still doing it and they're not listening, or you quit doing it and they feel like they don't have to listen because you're not holding them to that anymore, which the standard you were holding them to before the season even kicked off and even into the first couple of weeks. Did something change? Did you suddenly did you lose focus as the head coach and the coaching staff when the players have started trembling? I don't know, but it makes zero sense. And it makes zero sense that even if this started out from OTAs through training camp in the first 2 weeks of the season as the process and it was working and it started coming apart, how you can't figure out, well, we need to get back to that. We need to do what we were doing at that point and force the players to do it. And here's the kicker. If you ain't going to do it, then you can't be here. You can't be playing. Be bad cop and throw some tough love at them. But you're the coach. You're supposed to lead and give them direction so they can follow what you want them to do. That's the coaching staff. That's the players. That's everybody involved in the nuts and bolts 60-minute version of how you got to win a football game.
Yeah, when you see these penalties, especially the pre-snap penalties, is that something you're saying in practice and then it's just carried over to the game, or?
Okay, he's about ready to do the artful dodge right here because the question, in case you didn't catch it, he was talking about second question of the press conference. Hey, these problems that are leading to all these penalties, are you seeing this in practice? It's basically what he got asked. Are they doing the same thing during the week in practice that they're doing in the games that's costing, in your own statement earlier, hey, we were doing great things on offense, but it was these stupid little things that kept popping up that were killing us?
No.
No. The first thing he answered to that was no, it's not happening in practice.
In particular in this last game, we had one pre-snap, false start penalty, where, we got a little messed up on the cadence. Everybody kind of got off on the cadence and the center was a little late with the snap.
Why can't you just say the center forgot to count and didn't snap the ball when everybody else started moving, Dennis? You're not throwing anybody under the bus. We all saw it. Everybody saw it. Except for maybe the two talking heads announcing in the game because they missed so much shit that was happening on the field, it wasn't even funny. But everybody else went, why didn't the center snap the ball? They had 11 guys moving on offense, and the guy that's supposed to start the whole thing was still basically holding the ball. It's okay. Even he knows that everybody else knows, man, I screwed up. It was 1-1, and I didn't snap it till 2.
Well, that was the one pre-snap penalty. I think the bigger issue for us really,
here we go,
kind of boils down to the technique in our blocking. We're getting our hands outside the framework way too much, and I think that's an area that we've got to improve on. That's where some of those holding calls came from.
So basically, he was asked a question. The stuff that's happening in the game that's killing the offense, are you seeing it happen in practice? He said no. Then he went on to talk about just on and on about a center forgetting to snap the ball, which, hey, be honest, it was a penalty. It helped kill a drive. He's not lying about that, but I don't need the 10-minute explanation. And then the short explanation of it, well, and also it's our technique. Like in blocking, we're supposed to keep our hands inside. We're letting them get outside. It's sloppy. It's leading to holding calls. That's killing drives. So are they blocking with technique in practice, Dennis, and they're blowing it in the game? Are they blowing it in practice? You can't even get it corrected there? Or are you just up there going, shit, I really wish they quit asking me questions like this because I honestly don't know the answer. Because I swear to God, I don't think he knew the answer to that last one. Now we're going to get to my favorite one.
Inconsistency, but can you think of any other explanation for it? You get 3 of your best offensive players back. You average 5.6 yards per rush. You had, I think you said, a season high in 10-plus yard plays, and the offense only comes up with 6 points.
Well, part of that is penalties. When you have penalties that put you back at 2nd and 19, and we were not able to overcome those things. I think, Kendra had a nice run, down in their territory. We get the ball down on the 25-yard line. It's going to be 1st and 10 and ends up being, like 2nd and 19 from the 45-yard line, 50-yard line, something like that. So those are things that for us right now, those are hard to overcome. And I think in particular when you've got young quarterbacks, it's hard to overcome those type of mistakes.
It's hard to overcome those type of mistakes. I don't care who your quarterback is. Now, if you have Tom Brady or Drew Brees or nowadays Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, yeah, you can overcome that shit because that's how good they are. And they can make everybody else that much better. Sorry, throw Lamar Jackson into that mix too. My bad, Lamar. But after that, you start running out of guys that you can really count on writing the ship for you because of screw ups. So it has nothing to do with the young quarterback. Why are you even talking about young quarterbacks? Other than the fact that deep down, you know what I'm about to say next. This shit has been going on for weeks and weeks, Dennis. It's nothing new. It is so old hat that I wish instead of looking at your face, I was looking at the face of all the reporters asking the questions because they all have to be rolling their eyes right now going, are you freaking kidding me? Are you kidding me? We know this. What are you going to do about it to stop and fix it?
Yeah, Don talked about players having a meeting. Is that something you'd like to see as far as them taking the responsibility?
Now, we're going to let this one roll right over because I think it's the perfect tie-in. And in case you missed it, because I did see it on Twitter, I don't know how much it's been talked about, but Alvin threw a comment out there the other day where you're like, we need a players-only meeting. And I tried to hit the exact pause on his face of crap, hoping they wouldn't bring this up. Because let's be honest, as shitty of a job he's coaching, and then what he's talking about now, and still not addressing the issues that had been addressed again during this last stretch. You never know. We might have been able to sneak 1 or 2 games out of there somewhere. Had all this stuff not started creeping up and just progressively getting worse. Everything he's hitting on. There's only one other category we haven't talked about yet. We're saving that one for last but explosive plays, penalties, inconsistent play, basically dumbass plays. Smarter Saints, a lot of Saints plays going on these last 5-6 weeks. But nothing is ever good from a players owners meeting. Players only meeting, excuse me. Nothing. There's never been a head coach in the world that went, oh, good, they're having a players only meeting. This whole thing's going to turn around. We're in great shape. Fans, don't worry about it. We're good. We're going to make the Super Bowl run. Start bull crap. I don't have the numbers on. I tried to Google it earlier. It's kind of a tough Google, but if somebody has found the number somewhere, please tell me. I'd be willing to bet 90% plus of the time a coach doesn't survive player-only meetings. It's only a matter of time. They may survive the season. It may even temporarily turn around. But I think you're going to find yourself in the same boat at some point next season. If your job is saved by a players only meeting, and then all of a sudden they start playing better and you start winning games and you save face and they go, hey, we're going to bring you back. You did a great job turning that ship around midseason. I don't know this for sure, but I always felt like there was some alluding to players only meetings. I don't know, last year and the year before, right about this time. Only difference was around that time we were sub 500, 1-2 games, and looking down our backstretch, going, some winnable games there. We might be able to make the playoffs. And now we're in the crap hole at 2-6, looking at the back end of our schedule and going, well, I don't know how many winnable games we actually have sitting there. And there's some bad football teams there, but we're so horrible. I don't know if we can beat any of them. We're going to talk about young quarterbacks and all this other stuff in the meantime. But the phrase "players only meeting," he's not happy. This conversation has come up by any stretch.
Well, look, I mean, obviously you want your players to be accountable to what we need to do to be able to win. I mean, I think, this is not a player thing. It's not a coach thing. It's an us thing.
Dennis, if it was an us thing, then I think it would be a players and coaches meeting, which I think y'all have those every day. So this is definitely either a players thing that the players are addressing, and they might be doing you a favor by doing it. I don't know. Not in the room. Can't tell you. Or it's a players only meeting because it is a coaches thing. Neither one is good, and neither one says anything positive about the job you're doing. Even if that meeting is all about, hey, let's rally up and get better because we love DA and we want to save his job, which I doubt seriously, but hey, it realm of possibility, it could be happening. But even that is showing you you're not a good head coach, and you do not need to be the head coach of the New Orleans Saints anymore. And you're basically up there this whole time telling us in as many words as you can, I'm lucky they haven't fired me yet. And they should.
And I think we all together have to do a better job.
No shit, Sherlock.
About getting in and out of the huddle, the urgency there, things like that. And that was something you were going to kind of look back at over the course of this week. Now that you've gotten a little bit more time to the tape, did you see anything different there than what you thought you saw during the game?
Well,
All right, going to stop it right there because this is another one where we go back to OTAs and training camp and how that was once upon a time when Sean Payton was here. That was a big thing about him getting in and out the huddle. If you weren't getting out the huddle quick, lining up right and ready to go and ready to run a play, did pissed off, make you go back and do it again. Make you do it as often, as many times as you did it right. That's before you even went up to the line of scrimmage and did anything. And how they brought this back, which I'm sitting here going, why did it ever go away? But the new offensive personnel brought it back. The defensive guys are picking up on it, started talking about this in OTAs and the training camp. And not only were coaches and players talking about it, but media that was there in California at training camp talking about how they saw that all the time and how the pep of the practice picked up. And it was just, from the time they started till they stopped, that concept of breaking the huddle and getting up there and just hustling, being ready to go was going all through practice, all through the team, and how much it was helping them. But apparently he was talking about to the media, and I'm assuming this was right. I did not see the press conference right after the San Diego game, but must have mentioned either he or somebody else saw that or didn't see that, saw the opposite. It was not good. It was not that Christmas that they preached for 6 months going, this is how we're going to do this. And they asked him about it.
really see it necessarily on the tape, but I know what I saw in person. And I think we got to do a better job from a coaching standpoint of, making sure our guys know, exactly where to be aligned and exactly, what to do on each and every play. I think we can help them in that regard.
I think we can help them in that regard. It's your job to teach them to do it. And once they learn it, they make sure that they keep doing it. And when they don't do it, you correct them. And you think you can help them? Just put a sign tattooed right across your forehead, Dennis. Please fire me. I think we can help them do the stuff we need them to do to win games. Our job is to do that, but I think we can help them. How nobody's caught that and just taken that and went miles and miles into the atmosphere on it, because my head exploded when I heard that. I'm watching this on my iPad. I'm literally hitting pause, walking around the back porch for 10 minutes trying to cool down. It is the most asinine, idiotic thing I've ever seen an NFL head coach say or heard him say. Mickey should have been firing him. Dennis, Gale, I don't care who it is. He shouldn't have, forget firing him on the tarmac. They should have fired him at the podium.
And then, I think, kind of gets back. That's another part of being the youthful quarterback, the communication.
Let's blame the young quarterbacks. We think we can help them, but let's blame the young quarterbacks. That's on the young quarterbacks right there. They should be doing that. But we're coaches. We're just the coaches. We think we can only help them. The young quarterbacks.
In the huddle, all those things, making sure guys are on the right page. And then when it's not, how do we get it fixed?
How do we get it fixed? We not fixing it in training camp and OTAs and preseason? I bet you do whatever you did then to fix it. Or wasn't getting fixed, so this has been an ongoing problem. Man, you need to learn when to shut up after they've asked you a question. You really do.
I think those are all things that you have to grow and you have to learn from.
I'm not saying nothing. We'll roll it out here with the last of it. The question about yards after the catch. This one required me to pause my iPad and walk around the back porch for almost an hour. Here we go.
Yards after the catch, y'all are, I think, leading the league in right now, defensively, allowing most. Is there anything in particular? Well, is it just missed tackles, combination of things?
Yeah, well, look, we missed a tackle on the sideline there and on the long 60-yard, touchdown play. I mean, obviously, anytime you give up a lot of yards after catch, angles and tackling.
Again, 6 weeks. Apparently, everybody but the coaching staff and the players have talking about they can't get guys on the ground and they have horrible angles to even put themselves in a position to try to make a tackle that they would likely miss because they were missing so many tackles during that span. And it's almost like a revelation to, I don't know.
Usually have a part in that, and so I think we got to do a better job of taking angles to the ball.
Yeah, I mean, that's never really been an issue.
No,
through the years. It
hasn't. It hasn't. But it's an area that we've got to improve.
No, it hasn't. But it's an area that we have to improve on. No shit, Sherlock. It's to the point. With little hair I have left in this area, I'm about ready to pull it out because, not only can we keep seeing the same things over and over and over, and for the most part, getting worse or not getting corrected, definitely not getting better. But now you got a coach talking about it and making comments that just clearly states we know what's wrong. We don't know how to fix it, or it's a learning process of how we're going to fix it, or it's the young players, or it's just shut up about all that, Dennis. It's bad enough going on where we're going on, but I could have respected you if you walked up there and went, look, the wheels have just kind of fallen off right now. We're doing we're not doing anything well enough to keep ourselves in a football game. We need to fundamentally just get back to basics. Control what we can control. Same things he's always preaching. Just stay with it. At least do yourself that favor. Get in the coach speak and just don't get out of it. Maybe you could sell us on we can win some game, but I don't think you're selling anything to anybody right now. And anything of value that you could salvage in this situation on this team, as far as young players needing to develop or what have you, when you're making comments like that, it's making it sound like we don't know how to fix it. Well, you're not getting them any better. So you're not even doing it the common courtesy of getting them better for the new guy that's going to hopefully come in next year and take over. In fact, in some cases, it's kind of looking like these young guys' play has steadily, shouldn't say steadily declined, but are not showing signs of improvement like we would want them to. Could be on them, but I got to look at that coaching staff and go, and look, as well as we thought the offensive guys were going to do, I don't know. But definitely on the defensive side, there's just no excuse for our defense falling off as far as it has. Not that far. Not off the edge of basically the NFL earth. Not making Denver and San Diego look like shit. The Ravens of the Detroit are the Lions offenses. They ain't been able to do that against anybody else. Did it to us. And it's going to get a whole lot worse coming down the schedule if he can't fix it. And literally a 15-minute long press conference. Like I said, I cut a bunch of it out. It's about 15 minutes of him telling you, this is the best job ever because I don't know what I'm doing, but they won't fire me. I don't know what else to say on that. Giving a big thumbs up on how a head coach could literally walk in and have those conversations with the media and just say some of the dumb asinine stuff he said on that. How can you keep that as your head coach? How could, if you were a player, how could you want to play for somebody that's throwing that, I mean, just total garbage out there? And really, we need a camera on the media. I want to see if they can suppress eye rolls and giggles while he's up there spouting some of this crap out. So I don't know. It's all I really got today. And actually it was quite a bit because I had to get a little rant off because I didn't understand just how badly I needed him fired until he reminded me with that press conference yesterday afternoon. So fire DA. And like I said in the beginning, because this is another whole entire video on itself, even though I really wanted to get it in on this one. He gets his own videos, Mickey. Because quite honestly, Mickey shouldn't be the one firing DA because Mickey should have already been fired by that point. So whoever fired Mickey, Dennis, Miss Gale, combination thereof, whatever, just keep heading down the hall after you get done with Mickey. And I'm also going to make the case that they blew it not making that move during the mini bye week after Denver. You're kind of stuck now. And if you don't beat Carolina next Sunday, it's only going to get way worse before it ever gets better. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but them's just the facts of life. We're all going to have to deal and cope with it. So if you're first time here, please go ahead, subscribe. Everybody bang on that like button for me. Drop some comments, share it, hit some notifications. Like I said, I'm going to be back at the end of the week. We're going to have our Mickey diatribe, and I'll probably just have a little spot on the Carolina game because, quite frankly, we should beat Carolina. So it's going to be a little more about if we don't beat Carolina, how bad is this going to get between now and the end of the season? And if we don't beat Carolina, it's going to be bad. So should be seeing you sometime around Friday afternoon, Saturday morning at the latest. Till then, I'm Tim. Peace out. Who dat?